I think most of us deal with this sort of fear or anxiety that we're just not extraordinary, that we're just unextraordinary, and we have nothing to offer the world, and we're just gonna be, your regular Joe Schmo. And I'm a part of that group, right? I'm definitely one of those people who has this just big fear of never leaving some sort of lasting impact from my life, because I kind of touched on this in a previous video, and if you've seen that video, I will warn you that I might sound like a broken record in this video, but I'm not really going to focus on death too much, but there is one thing that's guaranteed, and that's we're going to die, right? And so we only get one life, and we get one shot at this. And so naturally, for most people, myself included, we want to leave our lasting impact, right? If this is all the only time this is going to happen, we want to have done something. We want to have made some sort of good use of our life. And I also think that there's other things that go into that other than just the fact that we're going to die. I think that our own mortality is a big either depressor or motivational tool towards our attitude when it comes to being successful. But I think that there are other factors, and I wanted to kind of touch on that. And I want you, the listener, the viewer, I want you to really listen to me when I say this. If you don't take anything away from this video, that's fine. I know sometimes maybe I don't explain things in the best way, or from the point of view of other people per se, but I do want you to hear this because I think that everybody should hear this at least once. Your life matters, bro. Like, you have a purpose, and you have there's something in your life that is going to be more valuable coming from you than anybody else, and you just have to find that. And it seems like in a world where big tech CEOs are just treating us like we're fucking numbers and not actual people, it's easy to get lost in it and really kind of look at yourself and think that you're just another number, just another sheep among the herd. But that's just so far from the truth, right? Like, we all have different things to offer to different people and situations, and we all have some sort of uniqueness to us. And I think that also stems from every individual person. And there's a lot of people that are never going to find that happiness or appreciate their life because they're just going to be another clone. But those people who are out here that are chasing that individuality, or have some sort of individuality but feel like that doesn't matter, and that in the grand scheme they still don't matter, it's like, no, bro, like, you are on the top of the list of people who have something to offer to this world, right? You already achieved the first step, right? You're somebody and not anybody else, and that's special and important because people won't be able to find what you have in particular about you that's different from others in other people. And I think I spent a lot of my own life feeling this way, where I just felt like I wasn't special. I would be better off just not here, right? And for me, I think a lot changed, and this is just from my own perspective. This is just something that changed a lot for me. I low key let go of religion, and I know that sounds crazy. I know that might offend some people who are watching, who are Jesus freaks or whatever. All the love to you. But for me, I'm gonna be completely transparent on how I view it. Okay, like, I'm not hating at all. I'm not hating on anybody who's religious. I'm not hating on anybody, but I will say that for me, it sounds like a crack of bullshit, bro. It's just straight up bullshit to me. Like, it sounds like some magical man in the sky just, like, for some reason got to choose a couple of chosen people, and they all, apparently wrote these books, and for some reason I'm supposed to believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what did Charles Manson do, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, the people who followed him, it was the same fucking idea where he basically just convinced them that he was some sort of fucking prophet, and they like worshipped him and killed people for him. And so I dropped religion, and that made me realize, okay, well, I don't believe in this, so there can't be an afterlife for me, right? And if there's no afterlife, that means I'm only going to live here once, and then I'm just going to go back to obscurity where I was before I was here, and that's it. That's what's going to happen. And that kind of changed my entire view, though. I was like, okay, well, if I only get one shot, that's it. And I want to make the most of it. I want to leave my impact on the world. When you realize that you have time, When you realize time doesn't stop and time keeps running, that really makes you appreciate it more for what it is. Because I said this, a lot of this I'm reiterating from my death video, but I'm trying to make it more on a positive note, and I'm also going to get into some other things that I didn't say there. I think that when you have time, it makes you appreciate life way more, because your life will run out of time eventually. And you only get a certain amount on this earth, whether you die tomorrow, today, next week, or in 50 years. It's never guaranteed. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. And that makes every moment so much more precious. And I think another thing that's worth noting when it comes to, how precious your life really is and how precious your time is here is that you're you. You're unique in your own way. And there's things about you that, you have your own perspective. And that's something that you can never actually clone. That's just not something that you can just, manufacture. It's got to be raw and real, right? Everybody has their own view. Even if you're a fake ass person, deep down, you do have a consciousness and you have your own unique look on everything. And nobody in the world has your exact brain, right? And that's what's beautiful about it, is you have your own story in life. If you look at all these people who make different forms of art, like paintings, these beautiful paintings from even just 200 years ago and before that, or these beautiful pieces of literature that people are still making today, even paintings as well, or like music. You hear a beautiful song and you're just like, that came from somebody's unique mindset. They came from somebody's unique perspective, and that's something that nobody else would have made. The chances and probabilities of it are just so low that anybody actually makes the same fucking thing out of whatever they're doing. And I think that's what's beautiful about life. And if you ever feel like giving up on everything, you're just wasting that chance away that you could do that. And I think that's something that will make you have even more purpose, is when you create things. I think as a human, the human brain is just, it's not meant to just sit here and follow the same fucking pattern all day. We're built to create. We're creators. And you can even think of it in a historical way, right? We were fucking monkeys back in the day, right? We were just chimps running around, or whatever the fuck we were. And we were, curious and always trying to find new innovative ways to, keep going with things and create new things from things that we already knew. And I think that creates so much more purpose, and as well as like this huge like dopamine rush in your brain when you're creating new things and discovering new things. And there's something beautiful about that, where our brains are always thirsting for that. And I think that the waste of a human life would be the waste of new creations, always. And I even think about myself. When I was in high school, I really had a problem with thinking that my life wasn't worth living anymore. I always thought that my life just wasn't anything, right? I thought I wasn't extraordinary and I was never going to do anything to leave an impact. And then, I started getting creative, and that was one of those things that really saved me a lot. Is, I like to write music and make music, and I like to make these videos, and I've never seen anybody make the exact videos I make. I've never seen anybody write the same melodies as me. And I think there's something so great about that even if it doesn't go anywhere, at least I did it, and at some point somebody will see or hear those, right? And somebody will be like amazed. And who knows, maybe 100 years from now, some aliens fucking touch down on Earth and they just so happen to hit my house and grab my fucking computer and hear all my songs and see all my videos, and they're like, yo, this dude was insane, philosopher shit. Even though, I don't think I've ever made any sort of philosophical what's the word, right? I've never made anything that breaks any new boundaries in philosophy. But either way, right? It's one of those things where it's like, you never know what your life, the things you do, say, your actions, or whatever you do, like, you don't know how that's impacting other people as well. I know you guys heard that. I'm just not re-recording that shit. But either way, I think that people underestimate how influential they really are in life. Whether that's, if you're like a cook in a kitchen or something, and you're influencing, the dishwasher who wants to be the cook one day, and you're just, really fucking good at it, and he's been watching you, or let's just say you're a YouTuber and people are watching your videos, and you think that, they're okay, but you just got some fans, but you don't realize that you're, birthing more people out of that, right? I think people underestimate how influential they can really be, and how greatly they can touch other people's hearts and souls. Like, take like Kurt Cobain for example. Now, I will be honest, I'm not a Nirvana fan. I don't really like their music. I don't really like Kurt Cobain that much, and that's why I guess it's not hard for me to talk about it freely. Like, this guy influenced this entire generation of kids and this entire generation of musicians, and he had the world, by the throat, bro. Like, he had everybody by the balls, and he ended up killing himself. And you look at it and it's like, yeah, he had his own personal struggles. I'm not saying that, I'm not going to sit here and blame him or anything. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to hate on him for that. But I will say, like, that was a waste of life. That was a waste. I mean, yeah, he left his lasting impact, but who knows what else he could have done if he, would have just held on, right? Who knows if he would have found that happiness, but he never just took the time. And okay, bro, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I keep hitting shit in my room. I'm just not re-recording this. But either way, what I'm trying to say is that, like, your life has so much more value than I think you really realize, because I think for a lot of people, they get lost along the way, where it's like maybe they don't get the views or the likes or the clicks. And I think nowadays it's very misconstrued as to, who is valuable and who's not. But the thing is there is no yin and yang, right? You're valuable in some sort of way to somebody or some people or peoples, whoever. It's just like, I think nowadays it's really just in the form of likes or clicks that people like to measure that out. And I've noticed, like, I don't get a lot of views on here. I don't have a lot of subscribers. And, I'm grateful for the people who are here, by the way. I love y'all. Like, it means the world. But I still see people in the comments that are like, yo, like, this is real as fuck. Like, this video, I get it, bro. And it's like, that is amazing for me to know that, my creation is touching other people, and that gives me more motivation to stay alive and keep working as hard as I am. And I think it's also worth noting that your passions are important. You should follow your passions and pursue the things that you want. Quit letting people tell you that, you're crazy or that it's not going to work out. I think if you really think about, like, all these famous people like Albert Einstein and his theory of relativity, what exactly would we know about the speed of light had he not, proposed that back in, what was it, 1905? Bro, I low-key had to fact check that, and I was right, yo. That was crazy. But and then take, like, Carl Jung, right? If he would have never wrote The Collective Mind and the Unconscious, who knows what a lot of people would have taken away or understood about the unconscious mind, had they decided to be like carnival ride operators or plumbers or something. Nothing against those people. Those people have their purpose, and I got all love for them, because without them, we wouldn't have our carnival rides to ride, and our toilets would be filled with shit. So, I do appreciate those people very immensely. I'm not even making a joke out of them. But the point being that these people decided to stay alive and just pursue what they were doing, and the things that they were actually interested in and the things that they were doing ended up just rubbing off on everybody and made revolutionary, statements in society and history and science and, psychology. All these, things came from these people who just didn't give up. And that's just inspiring as fuck to me. And I think that gives everybody a reason to be alive. And I guess I will end that video here in a moment, because there's not much else to say on this other than, your time is precious. Your life is precious. You are going to go one day, regardless whether there is an afterlife or not. Who knows? But this is the only time you're going to live here on Earth, and you want to leave your impact. And it's like, don't waste it away, bro. Don't waste it away on shit that you didn't actually want to do. Don't waste it away on, listening to other people telling you that you're not extraordinary. Just believe in yourself. That's what I'm saying, is like, give yourself the chance, give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Just fucking pat yourself on the back for once and appreciate the things that you've done to get where you are so far. And if you're not where you want to be, there's always room to grow. right? And my best advice for that is just take action on yourself. Quit waiting around, quit procrastinating. That's some chud behavior right there. Just, lock the fuck in, you know, believe in yourself and, take the world by storm. Do the things that you wanted to fucking do. Show them why you're so special. Show them why you're right. And with that being said, I guess that's really all I really wanted to say today. I hope it didn't come off as maybe vague or, I didn't go super in depth. I really just wanted to, come out with a positive note for a video. I feel like lately I've made some negative videos where I've been ranting about shit. And I just wanted to spread some positivity because I feel like lately I've really been seeing a lot of people being just super negative and hateful in the world. And I feel like people need to hear this, bro. Like, I think people need to understand that their lives really matter because I have those moments of self doubt myself sometimes. And I just hate to see other people feeling that way. So I hope that this maybe touched you a little bit or, kind of helped encourage you to go out and do your best this week. Again, I appreciate all of you. I see the comments, everything. Like, without you, this channel wouldn't really be anything. I'll keep them coming. I really want to take recommendations. So if you guys could start commenting some ideas that shit you want to hear me talk about, please let me know. But with that being said, peace.